Welcome back, everyone, to Grand Tactician, the Civil War. If you haven't seen the campaign up to this point, there's a link in the description that'll take you back to the beginning. It's September of 1862. We've got a long way to go, but things are looking up. We have moved on the city of Pittsburgh, which we are currently in the process of taking over. We do have two Union armies headed this way. One's only got 500 men. 35th Army, though, has about 4,100 men, so neither one of those are things I'm too worried about. I think Joe Johnston can handle that. We've also just taken the city of Washington, and then we're going to sit tight with both of these corps. We're just going to occupy Washington. I have no intention of moving that army out from there unless I absolutely have to. And then let's just kind of back up and see where everybody else is. The Army of East Tennessee has moved into eastern central Kentucky, and we're going to try to hold out here against these forces. And then, of course, we've taken Cairo, Illinois. We're really doing quite well. I'd like to be doing a little better with the Trans-Mississippi Theater, which is an elite unit. And John Singleton Mosby's forces are up to about 25,000 now. We are still waiting on additional forces. Let me take a look at that army real quick. We're waiting on the rest of Hardee's division to arrive. One of his brigades has arrived so far, but the others are still on their way. They're about 5 days away. Once we have received those units, we're going to move out and try to confront these armies here in southwestern Missouri. So for the first time, we've got the possibility of getting a kind of an early machine gun. It's a hand crank Williams gun that fires up to 40 rounds a minute. So we're going to go ahead and get that. We also have some options over here. Send envoys. Each level of this project will further improve relations with the European great powers, which is something we are desperately working on. So we're going to keep moving that forward as much as we can. Let's go ahead now to weapons and see if we can go ahead and start ordering these Williams guns. $37,000 a piece. So we're back to CCC plus. So I don't know. It looks like we're going to be able to order them. Man, they're not going to be cheap though. And that's a long time to wait. 292 days, almost a year. But I think they'll come in slowly over time. So let's go ahead and start ordering those. We're thinking kind of long term here. All right, they're going to do their best to take Washington back. They are converging their armies on Lee's army. Now, he's got the Army of Lincoln, 3rd Corps, 34,000 men strong. Other units are going to be arriving over time. Total of about 80,000 men to take on our 52,000. We have them in artillery, though. So if we can set up a strong defensive position and then just throw them back as they come at us, we might be able to hang on to Washington. Well, unfortunately, Longstreet's corps won't be here for 3 hours, which is a little disappointing considering I have those corps both sitting right on top of Washington. So it's going to make that a little bit more of a challenge to build a strong defensive position. So Longstreet's going to be coming in, I think, from this side here. Let me take a look. It tells me specifically. 3 hours, expected to arrive from Tennessee Town north. So I guess maybe they are going to come from up here. So we're going to try to dig in around these objectives. The Union's going to come in from multiple entry points on the southern end of the battlefield. So we're going to have to just try to dig in as best we can somewhere that's going to protect us. We've got some high ground here, some fences. We don't have a lot in the way of engineering points. So probably right along here is where we're going to have to dig in. But I just don't have a lot of men to do it right away. Okay, we've only got 2 divisions of infantry in Ewell's Corps. So I've got one watching each of these roads. We've got skirmishers out. We've got artillery in place. Though the artillery's... I'm having a rough time finding places for the artillery where they can get any kind of decent line of sight on the approaches that the enemy will probably be taking. Now, I don't know where the enemy's coming from. He might all be on one or the other right now while he waits for his reinforcements. But hopefully we can get Longstreet in here and fill in these gaps and even have some reserves before the enemy starts hitting in force. Okay, we're spotting the enemy. He is coming in from this side, but he's sending his men down this road, and it looks like they're going to try to load up on my right here, so we may need to send help over that way. I'm going to send Garnett's brigade. We do have cavalry available as well, and he's going to unfortunately get on my flanks pretty quickly here. How are we doing on Longstreet's arrival? Still an hour away, so it's going to take a while. We're gonna have some trouble in the meantime, unfortunately, and I'm afraid to move too much of this division over this way for fear then that we open up our flank, but we may not have a choice here. I think I'm probably going to need to send these guys over. Longstreet arrived. Okay. Where's he arriving? He's coming in from this side. So let's get these guys rushed up there as quick as possible. Cummings Brigade's going to come in right away with cavalry. We'll send them real fast. Same with Buford. Abraham Buford, let's get him going over there. At least get the cav, maybe help relieve the pressure a little bit here as we move more cav into position. That is a big Union force coming down on what amounts to basically one division of infantry. So I think we are going to go ahead and shift some help over this way while we wait for Longstreet to start arriving. They're going to start moving in on the road too here. Buford's going to come in. Cummings right there. I've got a few divisions on the way. Hopefully we can hold out. All right, he's moving forward. We are not going to get much time here. Problem is I just have a really hard time with being able to use my artillery where I'm at. Hopefully our skirmishers can slow him down a little bit before he gets in at the main body of infantry. That is a huge Union force. And he's moving all of them at once. He is coming down at me as quickly as he can. This is going to be a problem. We're pretty even on numbers right now, but morale is a big advantage for him. And I don't know why some of these units we're having trouble getting the orders going. But all of Longstreet's divisions should currently have orders to get moving. Some of them just haven't started yet. Slow him down, boys. Slow him down. All right, Buford's in position, and he's drawing one of the infantry brigades his direction. He's got Burnside carbines. Those fire like, what, 6-7 rounds a minute? 9. Okay, awesome. All right, looks like the All-Australian Volunteers are going to get into position pretty quickly. Other divisions are finally moving now. Time is not something that is our friend right now. And here comes some more Union units now down this road, which I expected, which is why I didn't move everybody. Let's shift Pelham over a little bit. I think we can probably bring Ramsar back. It might be a little too late to do that, though. How are we doing here? So far, so good. Casualties are looking really good for us, but he is still shifting a lot of units into position. Man, my artillery. He's just out of range there. They are firing. Let's get Garnett dismounted and moved into position where he can fire. At least 3 brigades coming down this road. Oh, I shifted Pelham over. I better bring Ramsar this way instead. Alright, Buford, you just hang on right there. Oh, he's lost 267 men. But he's not even in range to fire in return. There we go. Problem is we waited too long and now he's unstable. By the time he starts returning fire on these guys, he's already lost 300 men. Yeah, they broke. Darn it. That was my fault. I wasn't watching the range. Come on, Longstreet. Get your men moving. This may be a situation where it's too little too late. I've got an entire corps coming down on these couple of brigades here. massive casualties are going to happen, unfortunately. We've inflicted 2,000 already on the enemy, but we've lost 1,000. Alright, Bowen, you gotta face this way, unfortunately. Come on, boys, get there. I'm gonna send Cummings in here to help out as a reserve. Things are shifting his way now, even though we're inflicting a lot of casualties. There's just too many of them. There goes the cotton balers. They only lost 200 men. They broke way too easily. They only lost 10%. Fry temporarily broke, and then he recovered, and now Pond, our whole center is collapsing before Longstreet even gets his corps into position. This is just not a good situation. 2-to-1 casualties, though. Seminole Scalpers over here are doing well. Georgia Zouaves. I'm going to call the skirmishers back so we can start firing on them. Whole center collapse. Looks like Pond recovered Florida lead launchers, at least temporarily. Rally, boys, rally. Oh, there's just too many of them. I'm hoping... Oh my gosh, right back to back we just had somebody wounded and somebody killed. Pelham was wounded, commanding the Seminole Scalpers, and Colonel Jones was killed, leading his brigade. Who's he leading? That's, Jones's brigade. Okay. So that's right here. And again, just look at what they're facing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 brigades taking on 2 here. And he's actually pouring right into the center. I need these guys to move. All right, D.R. Jones, his brigade's lost 600 men. They're just getting outflanked. I mean, there's an entire corps coming down on just these couple of brigades. There's no chance they have of holding. Thankfully, we're breaking these units elsewhere. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to quickly mount up Garnett's men now that we've thrown back this brigade. And we're going to go deal with this battery here. We've thrown back some of the attack that's happening on this side. And hopefully now we can send help. I cannot believe how men like Bowen's brigade are holding on against this just ridiculous onslaught that they're suffering right now. 5,500 casualties inflicted on the enemy. That's almost 10% of his force. The problem is we can't retreat in order to save our men because this is Washington. We can't lose Washington. So we're just going to have to hope that Ewell's men's sacrifice is not in vain. And that they do enough to inflict casualties on the enemy to where Longstreet can come into this thing and we can somehow take back what we've lost. I'm trying to somehow organize these units into some sort of battle line here. So the good news is, as I'm looking at what he's got on hand, it looks like, with the exception of Kimes Raiders, which is only 6,500 men, most of his army is already in place. So it's not like he's got more reinforcements coming. So the main thing here is that we do have a big advantage in artillery that we've somehow got to use as best we can. But I'm not finding great places to use my artillery. All right. So we've thrown back a good bit of these men now. We are going to try to reinforce or recover these guys. What I'm hoping will happen is that we can slow him down. We can make it to nightfall. What is it? It's September, so it's going to be a while before that happens. And then we have a chance to reform and build some kind of a decent battle line for day 2 of the battle, if I can wait that long. I got to get Napoleon out of here before he gets killed. These 24-pounders are going to probably get overrun at some point. but I want to try and inflict as many casualties on the enemy as I can in the meantime. Alright, let's pull Garnet back now. Okay, we've inflicted 7,000 casualties on the enemy now. We've lost 4,000. He did overrun that battery. Now Ruggles' battery is probably going to be next. But Cotton Balers have recovered. We're going to try and pull them up on the line. We've got Walton coming over here now to help a little bit. We're going to try to stabilize things as best we can here. Longstreet's men are finally getting into position. Anderson's lost almost 50%. The 1st Victorian Mounted Rifles. Heroic work they're doing right now. We did lose one of the objectives, but 1st Victorian Mounted Rifles are definitely going to be in line for a commendation from this one. I'll have to try and remember that. But we've thrown back Von Gilsa. I don't know what Garnet's doing here, but let's send him over this way now. We've got Ramseur coming over this way. I think we've stemmed the tide, and we might manage to pull this out. It wasn't pretty, and our morale is still pretty low, so I'm kind of concerned about that. But we finally have some of Longstreet's men getting into position to help with the defense. We've also got a lot of units that have broken here, so... Okay, we're making contact here. We've got Fighting Tigers under Wheat. We're moving the Armagh Irish into position with 2,000 men. And remember, these are units that have already been fighting on the Union side. So they've already taken casualties. These are fresh brigades for me now. So at this point, maybe we have a bit of the advantage. I'm going to stop Johnson right where he is, because he's going to keep advancing otherwise, and we don't really need that. And it looks like there's nothing I'm going to... Oh, he got the stop order. Perfect. We'll hold him in reserve. I'm going to move Frost up here on the flank. Awesome. We already threw back one of them. Now he's starting to build in a battle line here, but we are in a place now where we're going to be able to reform our lines. I just got this one Union brigade here that's keeping me from being able to move all of Longstreet's men into position the way I want to. But now we're at 8,000 inflicted casualties, 4,800 we've lost. Morale's only 36 for me, though, so the only problem is I could do really, really well moving forward, but my morale's so low that if a couple more units break on my side, we may lose the battle, even though we look stronger on the battlefield. Alright, come on, Cotton Balers. You guys got to hold, man. I can't have you breaking again. Let's get some help on their flank. I'm hoping that will maybe stabilize their line a little bit. Alright, Walker, charge these guys. Let's get them out of there. In fact, let's give them Spirited Charge to help with that. And then I need these other brigades to get over here as quickly as they can. Let's get Harper moved up somewhere in this line. Cotton Balers, you gotta hold, buddy. You gotta hold. Let's get you some help. Who do we have back here that we can move up? These guys have both been pretty well shattered. I don't know if I want to send them back on the line again. Victorian Mounted Rifles have exited the battlefield, but they performed so well. Did what I needed them to do. Alright, Colquitt's finally going to get into position. Hopefully that stabilizes Cotton Balers' line a little bit. Let's get Posey right up here. And we just cannot seem to throw this Union brigade back. He's really messing things up. There they go. Alright. We need to get this force under Longstreet to start making a move. 9,000 casualties inflicted now. We've lost 5,500 men. I'm still worried about the morale situation, though. Yeah, oppose you just go right there. There's just too many men right here. That concerns me. Alright, Tar Heel rifles are going to come in and get into position. Let's dismount Garnett's brigade. Bibb County boys are right here. We're going to lose the Ruggles battery, but again, they did what I needed them to do. Some of these guys just had to be the ones who held the line. I do need to pull my division commander back here, though. Colquitt's going to be the same thing. They're going to break, but they're going to hopefully inflict enough casualties in the process. Royal Scots Greys are going to charge into the enemy here. And they're going to break. Let's get Frost up here on the flank so we can get some additional fire on them. Cavalry broke there. Jones's brigade is still pretty strong. Yeah, we knew Ruggles would get whipped. Our main issue is just how long it's taken Longstreet to get his men into position, but we have thrown back a few Union brigades now. I feel like Cotton Balers are not going to be able to hold by themselves for very long, and that's going to create a bit of a gap in our line, but that's okay. Still waiting for this artillery to move up. We've got a lot of men over here, but just not a lot of Union brigades that we're facing. Tell you what, Cotton Balers have redeemed themselves because they retreated pretty quickly earlier. Now they're facing pretty difficult odds and they're holding. Come on, Harper, get up there. I just can't afford to have too many more men break because my morale as an army's down to 32, and if it drops too low, we'll lose the battle regardless of how the tactical situation is looking. This may be a situation where I might just have to kind of charge headlong into the enemy to force a decision before it's too late. Yeah, there's no way these guys are going to hold. Rally, boys, rally. I know you're unstable. I know you're taking casualties. I know you're overwhelmed by the enemy right now. There they go. Nothing we could do about that. They did throw Burbridge back in the process, though. Alright. I'm going to charge into the enemy with some of these units that are in reserve. See if we can't break them. And push this meter over quickly. He's at 21% casualties now, but my morale's down to 31. His is at 39. We just had another unit break. Bibb County boys. There we go. We threw one back. Need to throw a few more back now. Alright, let's start pushing. Here's the strategic situation. We're still holding most of the objectives. He's got the big one right there. But we're still holding most of the rest. Robert E. Lee, you need to get out of the way before you get killed. That would be brutal. Florida lead launchers can return to the fight. Yeah, we've got to rush these units forward as quickly as we can. All right, who surrendered? An enemy unit disintegrated. That helps. It's probably one of the ones we overran over here. I'm desperately trying to win this battle before too many of my units break over here on my poorly defended flank. Poor Yule's corps, man, my goodness. What's Yule's casualties up to now? He's lost 5,600 men and a lot of his guns. Alright, men are fleeing on all sides. It's going to be really interesting to see how this all shakes out. Because things are still not looking good for us as our morale's down to 29 now. I'm just afraid it's going to break before we can win. Oh, they're charging my guns over here. I'm going to send Pond up there quickly to confront them. His first corps just arrived, and that's going to shift things back in his direction. That shifted his casualty rate down. And it obviously moved the bar in his direction as well. That's not what we needed to have happen. I'm going to retake this objective quickly. Getting low on ammo now. Jones's brigade fell again. All right, General Longstreet has been wounded. So this is just a nightmare situation. I cannot believe that we're still holding on. Hey, there's future President James Garfield leading a brigade. He was a general during the Civil War, as were many of those post-Civil War presidents. Harrison was a general. Of course, Grant. Garfield, Hayes. Now he had more men arrive. Cadwallader just arrived. So he's up to 80,000 men now. We've almost inflicted 2-to-1 casualties, but it's just not going to be enough. If we had had the whole force from the beginning and could have defended, it might have been a different situation. Now we've got artillery over here firing into our flanks. Got to go deal with that. Let's send Garnet to deal with it before Pond gets completely destroyed on the right flank. Been a heroic effort, but casualty percentage-wise is about the same, and our morale's down to 28. His is much higher because he got those reinforcements. Alright, we're gonna deal with that artillery. Alright, Garnet broke. We didn't deal with the artillery. Okay. I'm afraid this is an unwinnable situation because he's got thousands of new troops moving in. We're going to have to abandon Washington. I hate to do it, but I have no choice. I've got to save what's left of my army. Okay, We inflicted 19,000 casualties, but we lost 12,000, which is a big chunk of our army. We lost 32 guns. Oh, boy. That was rough. That was real rough. All right. First thing we've got to do is we've got to replace Longstreet. We don't have a lot of great options. I'm going to probably have to look among my division commanders who aren't necessarily all that great themselves. Napoleon's starting to get some decent stats, though. That might be our guy. I think we're going to probably have to... let's replace Napoleon. We're going to promote him to Major General and put him in command of Longstreet's Corps. Not sure why. There he is. Which is going to hurt his stats a little bit, but I don't know, it didn't really. All right, so that'll be good. I think we had some other guys who were killed or wounded as well that we'll have to go in and replace. But my main concern here now, of course, are the numbers on some of these units. Some of them are just brutally depleted at this point. Especially, for example, all Australian volunteers. Only 1,100 men left in several of these units. Only 800 left in the Victorian Mounted Rifles. Now, speaking of Victorian Mounted Rifles, they are one for sure that's going to get battle stars. And we're going to give several for this one. Because a lot of these units, especially in Ewell's Corps, just did heroic work. Just thinking about some of these units that were on the front lines from the beginning on this thing. Look at the units. Basically, all of Pryor's division, they each took, let's see, 1,300 casualties, almost 1,300 casualties, 1,100 casualties, they inflicted. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the inflicted here. But look at this one here. Jones, 2,000 casualties inflicted. Of course, they lost their brigade commander in the process. So I'm going to try to find a replacement for him, and then we're going to give Jones's brigade. Edward P. Alexander is going to have to do, I think. It's Alexander's brigade now, but they're going to get a battle star for this one for sure. Okay, we are in the process of capturing Pittsburgh. British intervention's at 44% now. I want to look at policies for a second because we have been working on government funding. It's still 22 days away. I'm hoping that will help with our credit rating issues that we're dealing with right now. We do not have a lot in the way. He just enacted Industrialization 3. We don't have a lot in the way of available reinforcements. We have 15,000 volunteers available, and all of them are going to be going into replenishing units that have lost men. I think I'm going to bring A.P. Hill over this way and try to get at some of these units and maybe support the Army of Tennessee a little bit here. We are holding on to Washington, but you can see now the Union's starting to take it back. So I think the wise decision here is going to be to fall back if I can. I don't really have the ability to command our corps at the moment, though. All right, I think we're going to take Jubal Early's Western Army and start moving them up into southern Illinois, see if we can't wreak some havoc on the enemy a little bit here. Trans-Mississippi Theater's now got their full complement of 30,000 men. Oh boy, this is going to be a big one. Army of East Tennessee and the Army of Tennessee, which is 14 hours away. That's going to give me over 70,000 men against an almost equally large Union force. This is going to be interesting to see how this plays out on my computer because I don't know if I've fought many battles with this many men on the field. So not only do I have a massive army at my disposal for this battle, he has to attack. And we've got a fantastic position to defend, and we have plenty of engineering points with which to defend it. So we're actually going to be able to put in some parapets, and I'm going to put them right across in between these two waterways because I don't think he can attack across any of this. So he's going to have to come down at us on this side. I'm going to start with defending this area between these two rivers. I think it'll be the ideal spot for this. We're going to go right across here. Beautiful. And we're going to have reinforcements coming, but we may not even need them. Okay, so he's going to try to get around over here, but he's going to figure out that he can't cross there. Of course, if he does, that ruins my entire plan and I'm in trouble. But I think he's going to try to cross down there. He's going to realize he can't, and then he's going to come back up this way. And as far as my reinforcements go, Army of Tennessee. See, Beckham's Corps is 13 hours away still. Johnson's Corps is also 13 hours away. So that's going to not be until the next day, unfortunately. But I think we'll be okay until then. Okay, well, his divisions are figuring out they can't outflank me across the river and are starting to move back this way. He's got more forces coming down this way. Sherman's Corps has arrived on the battlefield for him. So right now we are facing a 2-to-1 disadvantage in manpower. And we're just going to have to hang on for a few hours on the first day. And then we'll get our reinforcements, and it'll be a different story on day 2. I did move these 14-pounder Jameses over here so they can inflict casualties on these guys stuck in the swamp. Okay, we've sent some skirmishers forward to try and deal with his artillery. He's slowly starting to bring his divisions that tried to outflank me back around, but they're not going to be a threat on this first day, I don't think. This really is just such a fantastic place to defend. We've got one brigade that came forward. First row of volunteers, let's get them some deadly volley perk there. Alright, our skirmishers took out both of those artillery units. That is perfect. Let's call them back. Well, no, I guess they didn't finish this guy off. Let's finish him off. We threw back that initial brigade that was probing. Alright, he's starting to set up in the swamp over here. He sent a brigade to charge my 24-pounder guns. We did take some casualties, but nothing major. I'm going to bring these guns back over to this side now. I want Tillman to fire into these guys on the swamp. At some point, he's going to have to launch an attack. But I've got the Brown Mountain boys right here. We're going to give them... they have plains rifles, so I don't think we want to give them sharpshooter. Let's give them deadly volley. I've got Pike's Brigade here. I've got Ripley in reserve with the Texas Brigade. And we'll see how long it takes him before he launches his attack. He may be waiting for these other brigades. He is going to probe at the bridge, though, and we're getting closer to dark. Flanders Flock and Roughneck Razorbacks. We've also got Tillman's Battalion here, although they don't have real good line of sight at the moment. Same with McCown's battery. They just don't have the place where they can actually see what's going on to be able to fire. We're in good shape. Morale-wise, pretty close. And again, we are still waiting for a big chunk of our forces to arrive. Okay, he is moving forward. Right as we get toward nightfall here, he's moving a whole division forward over on my left here of this battle line. He also probed with some cavalry here. Now it looks like this other division may move forward as well. I'm going to bring Sibley over here and offer some fire on the flank of these guys as they move in. It reminds me a little bit of the Battle of Shiloh as the Confederates were pressing. up along the Tennessee River, you had these gunboats for the Union that were able to fire into their flanks, and there was nothing they could do about it. I'm hoping I can do that with this cavalry and with this artillery here, because there's nothing he can do about that. We just need to hold on against this onslaught by at least 2 divisions. We're in parapets, so that should be good. I'm going to upgrade these parapets once we hit nightfall. I should have the engineering points to do that. I think Brown Mountain Boys and Pike's Brigade should be okay here, even though they're facing a lot of men. First row of volunteers. Our French Expeditionary Force. Casualties, 3,300 for the Union, 900 for us so far. That's pretty good. His morale's still a little higher. It's a massive force coming at me, though. All right, Sibley. Let them know you're there. They are taking some casualties. That's okay, though. That's drawing fire that otherwise would be going at Pierce. We do have the Texas Brigade in reserve. If needed, I'm going to move them up a little closer. Reynolds Battery is taking a lot of casualties, but we expected that. They're 24-pounders. They're right on the front there. I'm going to give them close support as a perk. They're down to just 5 guns, though. Alright, we're good, we're good. I'm a little worried about Pike and how many units are firing on him. He's going to try to come at this bridge, I think. Looks like Leisure and Jackson may be headed that way. Alright, we've thrown back 2 brigades so far. I think we're about to drive Schuyler Hamilton's brigade back as well. What would your grandfather Alexander say? Alright, Pierce, just hang on, buddy. Brown Mountain Boys are doing great. We lost our guns. That's okay. Let's move Smith up on the line then. Alright, he's coming at the bridge now. He's trying to get around me. Flanders Flock and Roughneck Razorbacks are going to hold there. We do have reserve there as well. We've got the Embedon's Brigade, 2,600 men in reserve. One of his units just broke into my rear. Let's send McRae over here to track them down in case they reform. Alright, now they're heading back to his side. Alright, Sibley, just keep drawing their fire. 7,500 Union casualties now to our 1,900. And what will happen is overnight we'll get those reinforcements and we'll pull these guys off the line and we'll get fresh divisions on the line here. So when he comes back at us, he'll be facing entirely new units that haven't taken casualties. Man, gonna be a lot of dead boys in blue in front of this parapet. Not sure if it'll end at 8. I think we'll still have a little more daylight. Nope, that's it. All right, that is perfect. All right, new units have arrived. Oh, it's not going to let me deploy on the line. Are you kidding me? It's because of how close he is. Where are they? Oh, no, they arrived back here. I can't deploy them on the line. Oh, okay. That's all right. He's going to get a little surprise. Oh, it's not going to let me move him any closer than that. But that's 2 entire corps. That's another full army I've got arriving on the field. Okay, we got to continue to hold here. And that includes where he's been able to overrun me. Commander of the Roughneck Razorbacks was killed. How did he get men across the line? That one of the frustrating quirks of the deployment system overnight is that he got to deploy one of his units across the river without actually having to fight across the river, and it immediately wiped out my artillery that was on that side. Just a little glitch in the game. Not really a glitch, more a feature that hasn't been dealt with. So now I've got a major problem because now he's going to fire on me there, and he also is able to occupy part of my trench over here. Oh, what a nightmare. Alright, thankfully we broke his unit, but not before he wiped out one of my batteries. Oh, no, 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 no. No, no, no. Stay the heck where you are, please. Ah. Alright, we'll keep Imogen where he is. This really sucks here because I've lost my place in the parapet. Hopefully I can drive that brigade back soon. In the meantime, we're trying to start moving the Army of Tennessee in a position behind him. Hopefully we can get them there in time to start drawing some of these men off before they completely overwhelm our defenses. Samuel French was killed, so I'm a little concerned about them because they were getting fired into from the rear. We are going to have to send Sibley after these guys, since they're reforming. "12,000 casualties inflicted. That's almost 20% of his army already. Morale's quite a bit higher than mine, though. Alright, you know what? I'm going to charge the Brown Mountain Boys into Little and see if we can't drive him off so I can get back into the parapets before I take too many casualties. Ah, there goes Sibley. Give me Imboden. Let's go down there and deal with Casey. Come on, boys, get here. Alright, Imboden and Sibley are ganging up on Casey now. I'm worried about French being able to hold here. He's going to break any time now. Barksdale was wounded, leading the Calgary Highlanders. I don't even know where that is. Dang, that's over here on the right, where I've got units on top of units for some reason. Let's try and shift them over. Alright, what happened here? 2nd Brigade was whipped out. That's the unit that was in behind my lines. We're going to do the same here and try to pursue these guys until they get captured. Thankfully now French has got help. Let's see if we can break off some skirmishers here. No, I didn't mean that. I didn't want medium range. There we go. So now what we need to do is start firing on this artillery. Somehow, oh, he retreated across the bridge, that's why. Let's get Imboden up here firing into these guys. No, 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 no. Stay right where you are. Give me some skirmishers, though. Alright, we're going to send this cavalry down. He does have reinforcements on the way. I'm hoping we can intercept them here. Here come the skirmishers. I want to send them across to deal with this artillery. 17,000 Union casualties now. It's 28%. And the funny thing is, if we look at the combat report, or let's look at strength report, because we can see casualty right there. Maybe. There we go. 53% of his 5,500 man Army of Michigan, 43% of his Army of Indiana. The Army of Kentucky, for the most part, has not been involved yet. They're the ones that are just getting in on the action. Come on, boys. Let's get a move. Get a move on here. Alright, so we're just now getting into combat with the Army of Tennessee, and they're not going to get much of a chance to fight because Union's at almost 30% casualties, which means these units down here have suffered much higher than 30% casualties. And we're going to have a major victory before we even get a lot of our troops into the action. There it is. Oh man, we just captured 2 more brigades. Wow, this is turning into a complete disaster for the Union. Try to bag as many of these guns as we can. There's another 2 more brigades. Oh my gosh. Another brigade. Oh, these are detachments. Oh no, that's just what I'm highlighting here. Wow. I don't even want to know what the casualties are for the Union now. 26,000, almost 44%. What an absolute disaster for the Union Army. That might be the best battle I've ever had in terms of the outcome. In all the time I've played this. 27,000 Union casualties, all 150 of his guns, at a loss of just 5,000 men. Beautiful. Beautiful at Munfordville. Okay, we're going to wrap it up with that for this episode. We only got through a little over a week of action, but a lot happened with those 2 major battles. I want to see real quick where the situation is in Pittsburgh. Have we taken Pittsburgh yet? Yes, we have. Pittsburgh is ours. And where does that put the enemy as far as his morale goes? His national morale is down to 38. If it drops below 25, the war's over. So granted, it's going to help him when he retakes Washington. That's going to drive it back up because we are abandoning the city of Washington. But what's happening out west can't be denied. So let's go in real quick, and I want to go to the Army of East Tennessee because that is who did the incredible work in that one. Look at this. First Royal Volunteers, 1,800 casualties inflicted, lost 282. Incredible work. So absolutely a battle star for them. That's their second. And then let's take a look. I'm just trying to think of who else. Who do we say? There was another unit that... Oh, Pike's Brigade for sure. I mean, that was a a pretty major victory for us, so I'm going to be pretty liberal with the use of the battle stars this time around. Flanders Flock, I think, is going to get one too. So looking ahead, 19 days away from government funding, which is going to be important. I think after that, we probably go to Conscription Act so we can get some more reinforcements. That's going to allow us to get those draftees so we can start building back the strength of some of these units, because I would anticipate the Union will be working on conscription, and once he does that, especially if he's in a desperate enough situation, he's going to get massive amounts of reinforcements. He just got Industrialization 3, so I'll be curious to see what he gets next after that. All right, we're going to wrap it up right there. Let me know your thoughts. Use the comment section below, and we will see you again soon with another episode. Thanks for watching.